Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the FBI investigates after a Border Patrol shooting in Portland leaves 2 injured. Emotions ran high as a former Uvalde school officer faces trial over Robb Elementary response. That's next. And the Texas Rangers are investigating a deadly shooting in Victoria involving a suspect. Details coming up.
Well, the next 48 hours are going to be very interesting as things are really beginning to move. We've got cloud cover and fog over our area, a little drier air here, but the cold air already moving into North Texas, and the big storm coming out of the Rockies. Looks like winter will be returning even tomorrow night. All that coming up in a moment.
And we had 2 top referral offensive linemen signed to Schreiner University for football. We'll have more of these details later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry is off tonight. The Texas Rangers are investigating a deadly shooting involving a suspect and Victoria County Sheriff's deputies. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley talked with neighbors who witnessed the standoff just outside their homes.
North Street is back open between Ben Jordan Street and Avenue D, but it still shows signs of the drama that unfolded here just hours before. Sheriff Justin Marsh says a suspect fled a disturbance in Bloomington, sparking a high-speed chase into Victoria. This is where the chase ended. As you can see, signs being knocked over and markings all along the grass, and people came outside to see what was going on. They watched the standoff between the suspect and deputies in fear, saying the suspect waved a gun at deputies and then opened fire at them.
Man, they better not hit my house, my cars, my family, anything of the sort. I just wanted my people safe.
It's can't believe it. I couldn't believe it, something like this would happen in Victoria. People talk about it in big cities and stuff like that, but Victoria, never seen it, and especially not in front of your house.
Negotiations failed. Deputies returned fire, and the suspect was hit and taken to the hospital, where he later died from his injuries. No deputies were hurt, and the Texas Rangers now lead the investigation. Ray Mosley, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
Hallettsville police are investigating a deadly crash involving a vehicle and a pedestrian. Around 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, officers responded to the 200 block of West 4th Street. Officials say they airlifted a woman to an Austin hospital where she later died from her injuries. They are not releasing her identity or any additional information at this time, saying the investigation is ongoing. A DeWitt County man is sentenced to 30 years in state prison on multiple child sex abuse charges. Officials say 24-year-old Felix Perez pleaded guilty to 3 counts of aggravated sexual assault of a child, 3 counts of indecency sexual contact, and 2 counts of indecency exposure. The charges came from Perez sexually assaulting 3 female family members on multiple occasions. The FBI is investigating after 2 people were injured in a shooting involving Border Patrol agents in Portland, Oregon this afternoon. Authorities say the incident was part of a targeted operation involving a special Border Patrol unit. Sources say agents were conducting a vehicle stop when the driver tried to flee, striking an agent. Another agent then fired at the vehicle. A 33-year-old man and a 32-year-old woman were found nearby and treated at a local hospital. They are described as suspected gang members or associates. Emotions ran high today as witnesses testified in the trial of a former Uvalde school police officer. He's accused of botching the response to the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has the story of key witnesses taking the stand, describing in great detail the fear that day.
The after-school coordinator for Robb Elementary took the witness stand today, holding back tears and visibly shaking. Amy Maureen was one of the first people to call 911. Realizing a gunman was heading for the school.
I kept asking the operator, where are the cops? Where are the cops? And I tell her, there's kids running everywhere.
Former Uvalde Schools police officer Adrian Gonzalez on trial for his alleged role in what the prosecutors call a botched response to the 2022 shooting. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed. It took law enforcement 77 minutes to act and kill the shooter. Gonzalez has pleaded not guilty to child endangerment charges.
It haunts me to this day.
ABC News first sat down with Maureen 5 months after the shooting, still dealing with her PTSD-induced tremors.
I died that day.
Since our first meeting with Maureen, she has taken up painting as one form of therapy to help her deal with the long-term effects of what she went through inside the school.
The feeling of that type of fear is something that only someone can understand who's been through a mass shooting.
Maureen told us the woman we first met in 2022 would never believe she'd be able to testify in court like she did today. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Time to check on our wacky weather. See, this is one of the great reasons why we have Mac Pettis here, to explain all this and to figure it out, because it goes all over the place, Mac.
I tell you, you need a program to keep up with it. I'm telling you, it's going to be quite interesting for the next 48 hours. Now, tonight we've got cloud cover over our area and the winds are settling down. That's why we think the fog is going to redevelop. We do have a few little light showers up there in East Texas, but nothing happening in West Texas. That's where the dry area is. But the cold air is in the Rockies. You can see the snow, and that is going to be part of the cold weather that snaps into Texas. In fact, already they're looking for snow in the Amarillo area. So big changes. Frontal system comes in tomorrow night, and then the weekend is going to be on the chilly side. We'll have more details coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. And changes could be coming to housing services through Midcoast Family Services. Midcoast Family Services CEO Brett Jones says housing requirements may soon look different because of changes tied to how the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, funds its programs. HUD is updating guidelines for a program called Permanent Supportive Housing, which serves individuals facing long-term housing instability.
So all of our other programs are stable. We have the Midcoast Crisis Center, which is our 38-bed facility for victims of domestic violence. There's not a threat to funding there. We have sexual assault services, drug prevention services, all of that's stable. We have our hub across the street where, you know, people who are living on the street can come in and get a shower. They can do their laundry. None of those services are at any sort of risk. It's really just the permanent program, which is called Permanent Supportive Housing, that is at risk. And we won't lose the funding. What we believe is that we'll receive level funding, but it will just be a very different program on the other side of the process. Despite what our funders do or choose to do in the future, our focus is always going to be trying to stably house people. And that's what we want to do in that program, is make sure people have a safe place to put their head tonight.
Jones says all other Midcoast programs will remain the same and are not affected by these updates. He emphasized the changes focus on eligibility requirements for housing, not a loss of funding or services. Jones says they're still reviewing the new requirements and will adjust as needed to continue serving the community. If you see news happening, call our newsroom at 361-576-0026 or send us an email at staff@crossroadstoday.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 Views now at 10, new details emerge about the ICE agent who fatally shot a Minneapolis woman. Details next. Also, the Senate just took a major step to limit President Trump's military authority. What it means, that's after the break. New details emerging about the ICE agent who shot and killed a 37-year-old woman in Minneapolis on Wednesday. Court documents show in June of last year, the same agent was severely injured after he was dragged 100 yards during a traffic stop. CNN's Randy Kay has more.
This was not the first time the ICE officer who shot and killed Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis was involved in an incident.
She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before.
Last summer, the same officer was dragged more than 50 yards after getting his arm trapped in a vehicle during an arrest, a senior Department of Homeland Security official told CNN. The officer in the June case is identified in court documents as Jonathan Ross. A senior DHS official confirmed that case involved the same officer who fired the shots that killed Good this week. According to court records, in June 2025, Officer Ross had punched through a window to open the car after the driver refused to lower his window or open his car door. Authorities say that driver was a convicted child sex offender and was in the country illegally.
That very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
As Officer Ross reached over the broken glass to unlock the car, the driver, Roberto Muñez Guatemala, started accelerating and dragging the officer, who then shot the driver with his taser. The taser triggered at least twice, delivering a 5-second electric charge to Muñoz both times, according to the indictment, which also describes how Muñoz kept driving as the officer screamed. Officer Ross eventually broke free of the car and fell to the road, but only after being dragged approximately 100 yards, the indictment says. Images from court filings show Officer Ross in a hospital bed with more than 24 stitches on different cuts on his body. The suspect from last summer was later arrested. Just last month, a jury convicted the driver of using a deadly weapon to inflict injury to an officer. Officer Ross has 10 years of experience with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, a senior Homeland Security official told CNN. That same official told CNN the officer was part of the special response team of the branch of ICE that deals specifically with arrest and deportation of undocumented immigrants.
He's an experienced officer that has served.
According to the Department of Homeland Security, the officer has had ongoing training in several specialized skills, including perimeter control, advanced firearms training, and hostage rescue. He's also maintained an expert marksman qualification on all issued firearms.
NASA is cutting a mission aboard the International Space Station short after an astronaut had a medical issue. NASA says the U.S., Japanese, Russian crew of 4 will return to Earth earlier than planned. NASA canceled its first spacewalk of the year because of the health issue. NASA did not identify the astronaut or the medical issue, citing patient privacy. The crew member is now stable. 7 astronauts are currently living and working aboard the space station. The latest crew arrived in August after launching from Florida. Tonight, plans for President Trump's White House ballroom are expanding from the East Wing to the West Wing. The architect now says the White House is considering adding another story onto the West Wing to restore what they call symmetry once the ballroom is finished. Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce.
After tearing down the East Wing of the White House to make way for President Trump's grand ballroom, tonight the president's architect revealing part of the historic West Wing may soon see changes too. A new second floor for, quote, symmetry. In August, we spotted the president standing on the roof of the West Wing, and he hinted it would also be part of the renovation. Mr. President, what are you doing up there?
Taking a little room.
What are you building?
The ballroom, which is on the other side.
The president recently saying his ballroom plans are only expanding.
Now it's bigger than I told you.
Today, his architect presenting plans to the National Capital Planning Commission, saying the massive ballroom will be as tall as the main residence itself. So they want to add that second story to the West Wing colonnade so both sides will match. The ballroom's initial price tag of $200 million has now skyrocketed to $400 million. The president says it's being entirely paid for by private donors.
And the president tells the New York Times he's calling this new part of the project the, quote, Upper West Wing, and that it could be used as additional office space for his staff or the First Lady's team. And he's not stopping there. He says he also plans to redo the walkways across the street in Lafayette Park. Mary Bruce, ABC News. the White House.
The House voted to revive the expired Obamacare funds for 3 years. The legislation passed by a vote of 230 to 196, with 17 Republican lawmakers joining all Democrats to resurrect the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits for about 22 million Americans. Republicans previously rejected bills in 2025 to extend the funds past the December 31st deadline. Insurance premiums were expected to double for enrollees this year unless the funding was restored. The bill now goes to the Senate, where Republican leaders have pronounced it dead on arrival. The Senate today moved forward with a resolution to block President Trump from using the military within or against Venezuela without congressional approval. It passed 52 to 47, with 5 Republicans voting with all 47 Democrats. Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul was one of the legislation's co-sponsors. GOP leaders had urged members to defeat the legislation and preserve President Trump's authority. The measure is expected to be in front of the full Senate next week. Tonight, President Trump signals U.S. control of Venezuela and its oil industry could last for years, saying only time will tell. Senate Republicans joining Democrats to pass a war powers resolution, as we mentioned, blocking the president from taking further military action in the country. Here's ABC News' Rachel Scott.
Tonight, President Trump telling the New York Times that the U.S. will be running Venezuela for, quote, much longer than a year.
How long do you think you'll be running Venezuela?
Only time will tell.
Like 3 months, 6 months, a year, longer?
I would say much longer than that.
Much longer.
And we have to rebuild. You have to rebuild the country, and we will rebuild it in a very profitable way. We're going to be using oil, and we're going to be taking oil.
The president has not said what gives him authority to run another country and has yet to outline his plan for governing Venezuela. He also is not ruling out putting American troops on the ground.
What would trigger a decision to send ground troops into Venezuela?
I wouldn't want to tell you that because, you know, I can't give up information like that to a reporter.
And on Capitol Hill, the Senate took a big step toward blocking President Trump from taking further military action without Senate approval. 5 Republicans joining the Democrats.
This resolution is limited to Venezuela, and it says that for future armed hostilities, there needs to be congressional authorization.
Tonight, the New York Times asked the president whether there were any limits to his global powers.
Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop.
And it was notable to see 5 Senate Republicans break from the president to support that war powers resolution. But even if it passes both chambers of Congress, the president most certainly will veto it when it lands on his desk. Rachel Scott, ABC News, the White House.
General Motors says it will lose another $6 billion as a result of its decision to pull back on electric cars. This on top of a $1.6 billion charge it disclosed in October for changes to its EV plans. GM and other automakers invested heavily in EV plans in anticipation of stringent environmental regulations put in place during the Biden administration. They also expected some states to follow the lead of California and ban gas-powered vehicle sales within a decade. To get more news, weather, and sports, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, good evening, everybody. We're looking at 67 degrees right about now. It's the winds are settling down, the humidity's out there, so it looks like the fog will be coming back tonight. And then also tomorrow, things get really interesting. We got up to 81 today, 67 the overnight low. The average temperatures, which is the seasonal temperatures we're supposed to be getting, are coming in by the time we get to Saturday. So we'll be talking about that and when you can get your jacket ready. All that coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. The next 48 hours is going to be quite interesting over the crossroads and really all of Texas as finally we get back to January weather. Of course, today we have the cloud cover and the gusty wind. The gusty wind was up to 35 miles an hour earlier today. Those winds have settled down. The small craft advisory has been lowered, and we've got just a lot of humidity. And as that wind slows down, likely to get some fog by tomorrow morning. Now, maybe even after midnight. Now, just to the north of us, we have this little front, but that's really just dry air that it's delineating. The cold air is right here coming into Amarillo, and the big storm is coming out of Colorado is right there. That's the one that's really going to pull down that cold air into our area. Believe it or not, the storm that was over San Diego is now over the Midwest. That's producing all kinds of problems. Most importantly is it is pulling down the cold air behind these frontal systems, and that's the chilly stuff, okay? We did have a few little light showers at this hour along the East Texas border, but not much happening or showing up here in the crossroads. We look out west, and this is great news, folks. We're finally getting a good snowpack for the Sierra. They're probably going to get 6 inches to a foot, and they went a whole month without any kind of snowpack coming in. So here's the future of visibility. Looking for some areas to get down to that half-mile thing after midnight and tomorrow morning. But once the winds start kicking up, we'll lift the cloud deck from the ground up. We'll be overcast and windy and humid for Friday. But then Friday night, everything changes. Now look at these temperatures. We start 81 tomorrow afternoon. Frontal system comes in Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all the way into next week. It's going to feel like January. How about that? Now we take a look at the future rain, and this is where it's going to be heaviest, just north of Austin. Then the frontal system comes down, and you can see how we pick up a little bit of rain. I wouldn't say huge thunderstorms at all. This is light winter rain, but you can see how it sort of comes down into our area with that front and then goes down all the way into the Gulf of Mexico. So that is going to be the pattern, and then we stay on the cloudy, cold, and wet side. Now watch Thursday night. We go to Friday, you see that cloud deck beginning to give us a little bit of rain. Then you get the frontal system coming in. Austin gets some heavier activity, and then it goes right through our area right about 8 o'clock tomorrow night, okay? So about this time tomorrow, the wind will already have turned, and that north wind will blow in. Then the cloud deck sort of stays over the area. We are windy and colder, but we do get additional shower activity through Saturday. Most of Saturday will be cloudy and windy. And then on Sunday, finally, that does clear out, but not for very long because we've got all this overrunning moisture on top of it. And now that we do have cold air, well, we'll get a little precipitation out of it. So let's take a look at your temperatures tomorrow in the Port Lavaca area. Down to about 70 tonight and up to about 79 in the afternoon. But remember, the shower activity will be light early, then it gets late, and then the wind changes. And you can see Cuero getting up to about almost 80 degrees, but the shower activity will come in late in the day. So cloudy, foggy early, then a little on the damp side. Once that front comes through, we're only looking for a high of 61 on Saturday, so chilly and windy, and it'll stay like that, and cloudy all the way through most of the week, as you see right about there. A little bit of clearing here and there, but we actually have a secondary surge of cold air coming in probably Thursday of next week. How about that? It's going to feel like January. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have this QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. It's time for Athlete of the Week. Here's Max.
That is right, Mac. After the break, we're going to highlight our Athlete of the Week, and we're going to get you updated with this wild game going on with Miami and Ole Miss. So don't go anywhere. For this week's Athlete of the Week, we're handing to Torrey East senior point guard Avery Valentine. Here's more for our Athlete of the Week. What better way to give our first Athlete of the Week in 2026 than the Victoria East girls basketball star, Avery Valentine. This past Tuesday night, Avery reached a historic milestone, becoming the Lady Titans' all-time leading scorer. She reached this accomplishment through hard work and serving as a varsity starter for all 4 years. However, in the moment, Avery was surprised at first, but proud at the accomplishment.
I was definitely surprised. Surprised is the word. I didn't know. I mean, of course I hit the 1,000 mark, but just being the all-time leading scorer, it really shocked me, but I'm really excited that I achieved this goal.
With Avery being a 4-year starter, she earned multiple accolades, including Newcomer of the Year from her freshman season, First Team All-District honors, Team MVP for multiple seasons, and the most important honor, Academic All-District every year. Even with all these accolades, her head coach, Yolanda North, appreciates her making clutch shots and taking new challenges.
To take the big shot. And so there have been countless times that this kid has hit the shot to put us in overtime in the playoffs and different things like that. So, I mean, she's not afraid of the challenge.
Even with Avery making countless plays under pressure, she really wants to get her teammates involved and let them have an impact on the game.
Great. I'm going to give a shout out to all my teammates. I love them. Just like we have a great bond, the fact that we can just play off of each other. And I just love to give everybody else the time to shine, not just me, but just get everybody involved and have everybody play the game that they love.
In all, Avery showed constant leadership and competitiveness on the court, making her be the all-time leading scorer and this week's Athlete of the Week. All right, check out our fishing report here, the first one of 2026. And again, we have a cool front that's going to happen here this weekend. So I advise you, if you're going to go fishing, to have that extra coat ready to go out there with you. Now, some specific locations in Coletto Creek right now, it is slow at 62 degrees, where bass fishing has been fair. And at Port O'Connor, the water is good at 72 degrees. Trout are good with live shrimp or using red or white artificial worms. And then finally at East Matagorda Bay, it is good at 65 degrees, where redfish and trout have been biting near the Colorado River Basin. Now over to some two top signings from earlier today. Refugio football's offensive lineman Jason De Los Santos and Thor Bass both signed to play football at Shriner University. Both these men helped their Refugio Bobcats reach the state semifinals before they lost to the Joaquin Rams 37-28. Both of them expressed positive leadership, and they're looking to make that type of impact at the next level. And how about Faith Academy boys basketball team? They played earlier tonight versus Victoria Gators, and they won 75-32. Jackson Bolton led the way with 18 points there for the Cougars, and they're going to be back in action Saturday morning at St. Joseph High School at 11:15 a.m. And Don, we were checking our phones, checking everything that was happening, and congrats out to Miami as they beat their Ole Miss 31-27. So officially for Miami, they get to host the championship out there in Miami Gardens there on January 19th. They face the winner of Oregon or Indiana, which will play tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. out there at the Peach Bowl. That'll do it here in sports. Don, back to you.
And Max, in a way, A&M fans are happy because Miami beat them in the first round of the playoff. Max, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, some students at a school in Florida are shocked and joyful after a surprise announcement.
Tonight, we're hunting demons. We lived in the city, and we went 20 minutes to our mother's house to get married in her mother's tiny backyard. Oh, okay. And they're like, oh, who was your caterer? Your grandmother was the caterer.
Tonight, hundreds of students at Jones High School in Orlando got the surprise of a lifetime Wednesday morning. Full college scholarships.
Look at that.
Turning an ordinary school day into an unforgettable moment of opportunity and hope. This means that all tuition and fees at Valencia College will be covered for a 5-year period.
Wow.
It allows students to concentrate on earning their degree, technical certificate, or accelerated skills training without financial stress. The donations were made by a nonprofit called Lift Orlando. That is so awesome because there are so many young people out there, I feel, who would like to get a college education, move up, but college education, as you well know, because you recently in college, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. Yeah, it's hard to do for sure. Yeah, especially
well,
nowadays.
it is a financial commitment.
Yeah.
I have 4, and we're still paying.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's a wonderful thing for them. Well, folks, tomorrow everything changes. Finally, it's going to feel like January. What is it, July? No, it's
January,
not July.
July.
January.
July.
It was July. Now it's going to be January. How about that? Friday's a warm day. We start picking up light rain late in the day, and then the front comes through about 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow night. You'll know it when the wind shifts and slaps you in the face, and then it's windy and cool right on through the weekend and next week as well.
Thank you, Mac, and thanks for joining us. 25 News Sunrise, 5 a.m. Jimmy Kimmel Live starts now.